If I look tired this morning, that's because I am tired. It's about 7 a.m. and I forgot I had to record this. But I want to get this out of the way because I've got a perfect resource lined up and I don't want to lose it by playing too many games. So this is going to be entirely about reinforcements. And I want to start right now with an example because I feel this game is going to be a perfect fucking example of what I'm about to explain for the next however long this goes on. Also, I did not take notes again. I learned nothing from the drone video, so I'm completely unprepared, and I've got a rough draft of notes right up here. Anyway, on the left here, you can see we've got only 2 of our 3 walls for kitchen setup. This is on purpose. On the other side, we've got both reinforcements set up on the wall for A site. That is not on purpose. We only had one set up, and our rando did the other, and this accidentally became a really good example of what good good reinforcing looks like versus bad reinforcing. So I'm gonna go over how each one plays over the course of this round. Let me just skip ahead a bit. So, as the round plays out, as this goes on for a bit, I'm gonna wait till the push is a bit advanced. So the way this is set up, over here, there's one wall that isn't reinforced. First of all, because there's a mirror. Second of all, so that anyone playing the kitchen here is gonna have a really hard time actually pushing the kitchen, because they will be in the line of fire of this, as opposed to if it was entirely sealed off, we can't do anything about this hallway. That would be the case if we didn't lose our guy playing, you know, the kitchen wall, which is that's not a setup issue, that's a skill issue more than anything. But on the other end, as this attack is playing out, the guy in kitchen gets his kill. Our bandit is kind of hiding. And as the round keeps playing out, you'll notice they start taking this site because they won a single duel here, which again is a skill issue. It's not a setup issue. I know this part, losing the duel, does not look good for the example, but trust me. So over here, they've got this one duel that they won. They start taking the site. But over on A site, we are stuck in here. We are trapped. There's nothing we can do on A site because both walls are really reinforced. We can't shoot into this site to help. We're completely sealed off. And the way this door is set up, we can't shoot into sight to help. We can't stop anyone from coming through the door. And we have no way of actually getting through because there's only one door. Over here, the way the reinforcements are set up, we have an angle we can peek in. The enemy really doesn't gain much except from peeking aggressively into the hole. And, you know, they won this off duels. But with this, we have no way out. We are trapped. Up here is a pretty good reinforcement job. Not the best, I'll admit. Because, again, lost the duel. Over here, we've got a reinforcement job that quite literally lost us the game. Because as it keeps playing out, they will start aggressing on this. And there is effectively nothing we can do because we're trapped. This door is our only in and out. We can't stop anyone from coming in because normally this wall on the left would be soft so we could shoot through it without much danger to us and so we could help with the other site, but it's reinforced. So they literally just start to walk in. And yeah, that's a good reinforcement here, bad reinforcement here. That is sort of a base level example of what bad reinforcing can do to an entire... This one wall here, this one single wall cost us an entire round. Honestly, entire match. And that is how critical a bad reinforcement can be. But at the same time, how the fuck are you supposed to know a good reinforcement from a bad reinforcement? And that is what I'm going to try to go over. And I'm going to be real, it is not an easy topic to go over. It's sort of a fuck around, find out kind of thing. You sort of have to make these bad reinforcements to learn. But you could go into a custom and try to see what a good reinforcement versus a bad looks like. And I'm going to try to demonstrate them. So, first of all, I would highly recommend just loading into a custom and learn walls. But what you want to think about when you're setting up walls, first of all, when you load into the match, you're going to have that panic of, I need to set up every wall, I need to set up everything needs to go up, everything needs to be perfect. Don't. Just calm down. Relax. You've got like a minute or some shit to set up site. And you've got help. And as long as you communicate with your team and, you know, have sort of a basic idea of how reinforcements work, you're gonna be fine. So the big thing you have to think about with reinforcements is once you reinforce a wall, that is permanent. That cannot be undone. Like, let me set one up really quick. This wall right here, you're not taking that down as a defender. That is not coming down. You can't just... That does not come down. That's permanent. Which is even more reason you shouldn't panic. Just, the round starts. Relax. Think about the example. A bad reinforcement can cost you the whole round. And there will be a lot of games where that is the case. You lose a round because of a bad reinforcement. So this right here, this is a sort of standard setup you're going to see. What a lot of people will do in that panic is reinforce the third wall. What happens here is when you reinforce the third wall and they start pushing up red stairs, they will just take red hall for free, and then the guy who's defending B is going to have a much harder time. As opposed to, if there's a hole here, not only will you have a guy playing red who can escape into sight, but whoever's pushing up the red stairs now has an extra angle to worry about, and as they're coming up, they're gonna have to worry about here and here. All because this reinforcement doesn't exist. When you are setting up these reinforcements, I gotta break open this wall a bit. So, when you're setting up reinforcements, you really want to think about where the enemy is going to come from. And in itself, I know that's sort of a gamble, because you don't know how the attackers are going to play. But you have to think about, how do the attackers want to play? What are the attackers probably going to open? And once you have that perspective, you can kind of see, oh, they're just going to shoot through that wall. They're just going to shoot through that wall. You know, the guy's going to come up red. So obviously I need to reinforce every single wall, all of them, so they don't have any angles when they open. No. When you have an angle, the attackers are going to play. Especially when you have these double walls here. You want to think about, do you need these walls? And do you need the room on the other side? On Clubhouse, fuck yes you do. Because if you can control rafters, you control who can come in through this side. You control who can come in through this side. Rafters is pretty much how you win Clubhouse on this side of the map. It's a really fucking strong position to have. And if you have a room you need to defend that hard, you have someone who's going to play that room with their fucking life. So your options are, you can either reinforce this wall, thus opening that one to give the guy playing rafters, you know, a rotate. But as you can see, that will give the enemy effectively a free fucking sightline onto the rafters guy. Honestly, with very little risk. Like, they can peek the rafters guy safely, like this, with no risk from anyone from B. And pretty reliably get that kill. Whereas, let me reinforce it really quick. Whereas, if you do the left wall, like, you reinforce the left wall and you have your rotate on the right, the rafters guy is a bit more protected, and, you know, to get more peek on it, you do have to swing into B. Especially if he's playing in that corner over there, where I just pinged. Because the wall was set up closer to where the attackers are probably going to be, it is now harder for me to take advantage of this. Whereas, if it was reinforced on the right, I could just peek the rafters guy from pretty much safety. And the round would likely be lost entirely on that. Same thing on this side. Let me actually reinforce the bad side and show you how this, you know, goes. So if I reinforce that side and make the hole, still a pretty aggressive peek, especially, you know, if I want to peek into sight. But if there's a guy on rappel here, this is a massive fucking cutoff. Because then your team attacking just has to kill the rafters guy, plant there, and you've got this entire cutoff here. So yeah, good reinforcement. Keeps the enemy from getting a free sight line. Bad reinforcement gives the enemy a massive sight line. Or, what I see a lot of people do, they will over-barricade, or over-reinforce, and this makes it a lot fucking safer for the attackers to cut you out of your own sight. Because, like you saw in the airplane example, this means that their only angle to come through sight is this door here. Unless they made this rotate. But even if they made that rotate, you've now got a situation where someone can hold over here. Let me put a proxy where I would be. And I want you to think about how hard it is to actually get the swing on the guy here without risking your own life. Like, that is, you're risking a lot there. Especially over here, where the shot's gonna be a little harder and you have to worry about all of this in the meantime. So, you know, over barricaded, bad. Good barricade is, you know, general rule of thumb closer to where the enemy's gonna come from. It's not always true. Reinforcing does... How many times have I said barricade this fucking video? Anyway. A good reinforcement, my rule of thumb, unless my team has a set plan, unless my team has a set strategy, again, communicate with your team. General rule of thumb that I use. The reinforcement that is closer to where the enemy's going to come from is probably going to be the better one. Like, from rafters. Like, look how safe this is. As opposed to if that was open, and then I wouldn't be able to play pretty much the entire rafters, basically. Like, I can see that external wall the entire time. Like, that would be fucking dangerous if I was playing rafters and that was open. Also, another rule of thumb before I forget it. Don't do this. Don't reinforce between sites. Site A and Site B, there should never be a big-ass wall between them. Because let's say they take A site. How the fuck am I supposed to help now? Because my two options are peek here, which, you know, they're probably watching, or peek over here, which they're probably already watching. It's literally a 50-50 chance that they're either gonna... one of those. And, you know, if they're a smart team, they've got drones watching the flanks. So this... if they came through here, this is not fucking happening. So you're probably wondering, if it's bad to reinforce walls, which walls are good to reinforce, aside from the one I already, you know, showed you. Good example of a wall to reinforce every single time consistently, 100%. Any wall that leads outside. If you're not sure if it leads outside, punch and look outside. And if it looks bright outside, reinforce that shit. Because if the enemies have a free wall into the, you know, into the building, you are kind of fucked. This wall over here, is this a good one to reinforce? Well, let's see. Are we going to use it? Because you could shoot it open and do an extended hold where you've got the guy playing construction and you've also got a guy playing pretty aggressive, pretty aggressively here and shooting into the door. Then yeah, you could leave it open. You just have to keep in mind that if they take bedroom, you've got to have that guy playing in here, or that guy will have the sight line into a site. So yeah, if you're not comfortable having this exist, barricade it. Or if you're real toxic, barricade it mid-game after losing your extended hold guy. These walls here, why are these the good ones to reinforce and not this one that gives them the direct line of sight? Because, you know, You want them to be uncomfortable. You want them to be very nervous. Because, you know, if these two walls are soft, they have a very good line into sight. Like, out of these three walls, this one gives them the least amount of, you know, vision into sight without peeking their whole body in. If this one, you know, were to get broken, they would have a pretty good sight line. It's hard to demonstrate this. They would have a pretty good sight line into sight from the safety of stairs. But with this one here, they have the best line of sight. They can see the door. So yeah, like I was saying before, go to where the attackers you think are going to want to play. Try to figure out what would be the nastiest sight line you could get through a wall and reinforce it. Don't fully reinforce that you're just giving the enemy free space to do whatever the fuck they want, but reinforce it enough so that the enemy has to work for a sight line. When you're a roamer, if you do your reinforcements on site well enough, your roamer will have a few walls to use, which your roamer should have like 1 or 2. Worst case, they get used for hatches. But let's say your roamer wants a rotate into this room here. What you can do, come into here, check the sight lines. Which one is giving more of an advantage to attackers? Honestly, neither, really. Let's see, this one sort of peeks into sight, which is not fucking good. So, this is the one your roamer wants to reinforce. So now, the enemy is going to have to peek into construction. If they want to peek sight, you know, put their whole body into it. There's not really much they can hide behind. And even if they peek like that, if your roamer's a little cheeky, they could just hide here and wait for that. So, to actually get through here to peek sight, the attackers would have to clear over there, which honestly, if they're attacking bedroom side, they should be doing anyway. They have to clear, you know, over there. They have to clear around that corner. And if your roamer's cheeky, they also have to clear close, which is a sort of a gamble because you have to full body swing it. And, you know, there's a chance that your roamer's just gonna be there ready to go and probably win the duel because they know where they are, and the attackers have to come through this hole. That's the big thing. When you make a hole like this, the attackers don't know where you are. They could be anywhere in this room, but as a defender, you have a pretty fucking good idea that they have to come through this hole. No matter what they want to do, they have to come through this hole. And if they don't want to come through this hole, that's what you have gadgets for, you know? I don't mean to go on a side tangent about gadgets, but there's a big difference between having to constantly... Alright, not there, not there, not there, not there, not there. Whereas, you can just play this, and then hear... Beep, beep, beep! Beep, beep, beep! So, yeah, little side tangent about gadgets. Gadgets make this job a lot fucking easier. They're like baby reinforcements. You'll know when the enemy's coming. Another good thing to think about when it comes to reinforcements. Should I reinforce hatches? First of all, find where this hatch goes. Because if you break that hatch, you cannot reinforce it anymore. It's not like a wall. So, this is the hatch that we just saw. Honestly, there's no way that you're going to use this for anything useful as a defender. You can't... There's really no angle you can hold here that'll help you. Maybe... Again, this is based on how your team plays. Maybe you can make a hole and play construction and keep anyone from taking stock. You know, close stock, but that's gonna be hard to do. The other reason you'd break the hatch is just to have a rotate. Just for whoever plays construction to have an escape. Or, you know, in some cases so the enemy doesn't get this floor space. Because if they break this wall, it's gonna be really annoying if they can play close here and close here. So, before you break a hatch, is there an angle you can use underneath? In this case, no. Can you use it for a rotate? Probably. Is the enemy going to benefit from having the space? Yes. No more space. Alternatively, let's, for the sake of this, pretend we're playing first floor site. Is this going to help the enemy to have? Yes, because they will get some angles into billiards. In which case, reinforce it. Yes, you could use it as a rotate, but it's also going to be very advantageous for the attackers to just come into gym and clear you, and then get this hatch and have another angle to attack from. So, you know, when you're playing a site that has hatches above it, I did not mean to hit my dash. Reinforce them. Just reinforce. There's not going to be many situations where you want to open up every single hatch. Maybe if you have an Oryx playing, because Oryx can, you know, do the hatch thing. Which, by the way, for anyone who hasn't seen Oryx do the hatch thing, that is why you would open hatches for Oryx. Because Oryx has, you know, upward verticality, which no defenders have, actually. So yeah, that's why you would open hatches when there's, you know, a hatch above your site. Other than that, good rule of thumb, get rid of your hatches. Or reinforce your hatches. And, yeah, that's honestly everything that comes to mind when it comes to reinforcing a site, including, you know, a good reinforcement with a rotate, a bad reinforcement, which is, you know, the over reinforcement, another good reinforcement because it makes the enemy nervous to come up, and whoever's playing red, if things get spicy, they've got a nice rotate. And yeah, hopefully and like I said, reinforcing is sort of a fuck around, find out kind of topic, but hopefully this is sort of a jumping off point. Maybe there are still some sites I'm not 100% on how to reinforce them right, but this is, I like to think, a pretty good starting point. Like, this is a fairly standard, well, except for that wall there, this is a fairly standard-ish setup, methinks. Also, little tidbit, if you have anyone with nitros, bust out the top of a wall if you can, because, well, that wall's not a good example, but if you break out the top, then, you know, your nitro guy can throw the nitro over the wall and, you know, get some kills on the other side completely safely. And, yeah, that's a decent starting point for reinforcements and what you should be thinking about when it comes to reinforcements. Have a good one. Peace. And, you know, we're all learning this game at the same time. More or less. Don't look at Pro League. We're all learning this game. We're all gonna make bad reinforcements. Just be nice. You know, don't scream at the guy you haven't been talking to all game because he did a reinforcement you didn't communicate. Just try to... It's a team game. If you're playing with randos, talk to your randos, please. Or talk to your stack. Talk to whoever. But don't get mad if they do the thing that you didn't tell them to do or not do. Just be kind. Peace.